Hi, I'm Deborah Bird of EarthSky.
And I'm John Goss of EarthSky, and we're here to talk about the December solstice coming right up in just a few days. In fact, it falls on December 21st at 9:21 Universal Time, which is 3:21 Central Time in the Americas. That's Saturday morning for us in the Americas.
3:21 a.m. Central Time, Saturday morning. I don't think I'm going to get up for it. Are you, John?
Oh, sure. I think a lot of people are going to be up for this big event. And something I'd like to talk about here, what the solstice is, what it means, and what we could expect to experience from it.
Okay, let's go.
Okay. Well, the solstice. There are two solstices in the year. This is the December, and of course, we have a June. This is the first day of winter, or will be the first day of winter, coming up in just a couple days.
Yeah.
All it really means is that you can look at it from 2 points of view. One from the, as you see on the screen right now, we have the view of the Earth tilted on December 22nd. If you look closely, you'll see that the southern hemisphere of the Earth is tilted a little bit more towards the sun than the northern hemisphere. In fact, in the far north of the northern hemisphere, it's in complete darkness. You don't see sunshine. Down in Antarctica right now, you'll see it all the time, all day long. So that's from the earthly perspective. In June, it's just the opposite. The northern hemisphere tilts towards the sun. You will also notice that this tilt I'm just talking about is really the same all year round. It's just the Earth going around the sun. So our tilt doesn't change as our position around the sun changes. And that's what causes the solstices and the two equinoxes, the autumnal and the vernal.
So it's interesting because people talk about the solstice like it's a day, but it's really not a day. It's really an instant.
Yeah, it's just a moment. It's just a moment.
Yeah.
From
What's
our
like? What is it?
Well, from our perspective, sitting on Earth, looking out in the sky, we see this. Of course, we see the sun in the daytime, and it on December solstice. In December, the sun is fairly low in the sky, and the solstice means it's the standing still point of the sun. It doesn't get any lower, and that is at an instant, at a moment when the sun is on the ecliptic. The ecliptic is just the plane of the Earth's orbit around the sun. Fancy way of looking at it. It's at the lowest it's going to get in the sky. The following day, it's going to be a little bit higher. Not much. You won't be able to tell much of a difference at all, but a little bit higher. And that'll progress all the way until June when it gets higher in the sky. Now, on the two charts here, you can see on December 21st in the daytime, the sun is fairly low compared to the chart on the right. If you could see stars in the daytime, other than our sun, because our sun's a star, you would see that the sun lies among all the stars of Sagittarius and Scorpius. Now, at nighttime, tonight, at about midnight, you go out and look again, look south, and if you could see the ecliptic line, it would be very high in the sky. And that is where the sun would be on December 21st. That's why it's high in the sky on December 21st. Of course, you have all the stars you can see tonight.
Now, wait,
So,
green line
yeah,
is the path of the sun, the ecliptic.
correct.
And so the one on the right, the nighttime view, is showing us where the sun would be in June.
I don't have the sun plotted on there, but yeah, it would. The ecliptic, the green
You
line
got high up in
is
the
much
sky.
higher in the sky.
Yeah, and
It's
compare the December view.
yeah, it's like 46 degrees higher in the sky, so it's quite a bit high. And it depends where you are in the United States. In the very southern part of the United States, at that point, the sun is almost directly overhead in June. But we're not in June, we're in December, so we have a low sun. You go out, for me, if I went outside right now, I could see the sun very low in the sky, and you get these long shadows, even at noon. It's kind of an interesting effect to see.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
And so let me move to the next picture because this shows a satellite view of the Earth. And what we're seeing here is what John just described, which is the southern part of the Earth getting the most sunlight now. And so that's this December solstice, summer in the southern hemisphere and
Yeah.
winter in the northern hemisphere.
Yeah, this is pretty much like a whole year's worth of sunrises and sunsets we're seeing across. I guess that's Eastern Asia, right there. So yeah,
Yeah, but I'm seeing Antarctica there too. And
yeah, well,
Isn't that Antarctica down there?
Well, it's kind of going out of view, but the Arctic is coming more into view up above as the year goes on. As you can see, as the terminator, the day night line sweeps by, you can kind of start seeing that the Arctic region up there is still in nighttime all the time. But as this goes around a few more times, it should start showing it more and more.
Yeah. Let's keep moving. So this is a photograph that was
Yes.
taken by Jose Palma in Portugal. And what he did was he charted the track of the sun throughout, I believe this is a whole year. Let's see. No, it's just from
From
it's a whole year,
June, well, half a year.
half
He
a year.
has it
Okay.
from June
From
to
June
now.
to December. Okay. So he's showing the path of the sun during that time. And you can see that this lowest part of the chart where he's got the arrow pointing up next to the words winter solstice, December 21, 2022. He did this in 2022, the lowest path of the sun.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And as it goes higher, or as the year goes on, that the path of the sun gets higher and higher each day. And you can see it. Well, back in November, it was a little bit higher than it is now. And in October, it was a little bit higher. And then September, and so on and so on. So finally get up to July and June. The sun's pretty high in the sky. And this shows the high arc of the sun across the sky.
But I've noticed, and a lot of people notice, that the earliest sunsets don't fall on the day of the solstice.
Ooh, boy, this is a tough subject to cover. Yeah, that's true.
We don't have to get into the complications as to why, but it's a pretty interesting phenomenon because, we get up early in the morning here at EarthSky, some of us do, and it's really dark now. Like in the summer, it's getting light. Definitely look, I'm at a very low latitude. I'm in Texas. So, by, 5:30 or 6, the dawn light is coming into the sky and it's starting to look like morning. And, my chickens are waking up, cackle and
Yeah,
that sort of
yeah.
thing. And, but this time of year, wow, it is dark. Like even at 7 a.m., it's still dark. So those latest sunsets aren't going to come until early January. So earliest sunsets for us are early December, and then the shortest day on the solstice, and then the latest sun rises in early January.
Yeah, we're sort of in the middle of that right now. 2 weeks ago, we had, excuse me, the earliest sunset. 2 weeks from now, we'll have the latest sunrise. Flip that around in June, and you have a similar thing, but you're talking about the latest sunset and the earliest sunrise of that.
Right. And we have,
back then.
in Austin, we have our earliest sunrise, toward the early part of June. And then we have our latest sunsets in early July. But the longest day, the greatest number of minutes of daylight on the June solstice around the 20th or 21st.
Yeah.
So
It seems so dark in the morning.
it's so dark. I think about my grandkids out there catching the bus in the total darkness.
Yeah.
I kind of hate that, but
And it's even worse the further north you go. So,
I bet. Yeah. Okay. So let us move on. And here it is again, the low arc of the winter sun and the high arc of the June sun.
Yeah, this chart in there is really to show you two things, in that the position of sunrise along the eastern horizon changes throughout the year. You get kind of an east-southeastern rise point, which you would right now in December, versus in June and July, you're quite a bit north of east. And same with sunset. And now if you look closely, you'll see the southern, or the bottom chart is for the southern hemisphere. Things are flip-flopped. Everything is reversed, because now instead of looking south to see all this stuff, you're looking north, and west is to your, what's this way, whatever way this is, to the left. At least for me, it's to the left. And again, you have a flip-flop of the December and July suns. Now in the southern hemisphere, the December sun is quite high. At the December solstice, it's now their summer solstice in just a couple days, and versus our December or winter solstice right now, or a couple days.
And that's really a fun thing to do. Like I know one time I was living in the country when my kids were little, And I had a clear view off to the western horizon, right above my kitchen sink.
Hmm.
I had these little babies, right? And I would be in there all the time, washing dishes and doing all that stuff. But that year that I lived there, I tracked the sunset point on the horizon by putting little pieces of tape on the window and
That would work.
it was really fun. It was really cool. And so I watched the movement of
Yeah.
that sun along the horizon, between the solstices and equinoxes. Lots of fun.
Well, I think you said something that most people can relate to. I think just about everyone will notice the change of the sunlight as it comes through the kitchen every day. Or maybe you have a sunroom or some other room. You'll notice that the light hits the floor at a different angle. This time of year, when light comes in, it makes it all the way across the room at our house. Well, in the summer, when the sunlight's quite a bit higher, sun's quite a bit higher, it doesn't really make it into the house at all. So you get to see it this time of year that, yeah, gosh, here comes the sun right into the room now. But in another couple months, it won't be doing that at all.
In the summer here in Texas, John, we've got our shades drawn. We're trying to keep the sunlight out of our houses and
Yep,
out of our air conditioning. So,
yep.
but yeah, that's an interesting thing. And so, what I was just talking about there, putting that tape on the window, for me, that was what people call a personal solstice. Like that was my experience of the solstice, was tracking that sun. And here's another example of a personal solstice that comes from someone in the EarthSky community. And this is a very fancy one. This is from Rick Williams, who is in Woodland, California. And he did this in the year 2020. And he said he placed a mirror on the front of his house and he reflected the sun onto an outside wall. And every day he marked the sun's location at exactly noon. And so he created this cool, what's called an analemma. This shows just a tiny piece of it, kind of a figure-8 pattern that you can create there. And that is his personal solstice, where the sun hits its lowest point in the sky.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's something to do. Anyone can do this as long as you have a point. After you're using a place around your house that isn't going to move, and that you're not going to get trouble for marking on the wall, so you can see the position of the sun change. Otherwise, you'll be in big trouble with somebody. So got to be careful.
That's right. That's right. And you don't have to get so fancy to create a personal solstice. Like this photo, another person in the EarthSky community, Markham Starr, who is in North Stoningham, Connecticut. He just created this beautiful photograph of a solstice. Is this a sunrise or a sunset? This is a sunrise. And he just aligned it with this wall. So many people want to see the solstice and equinox points on their horizon aligned with certain things. And of course, ancient people did that too and created standing stones like Stonehenge.
Sure. Well, what I like about this shot, and it's a nice shot the way it is, but if he goes back in a week from now and takes a similar shot, he'll notice that the sun will have shifted over to that way a little bit.
That's right.
And it'll continue on until June. So really, just in a week or so, you can notice the shift. And this is a great way of doing that because you got a record you can refer to.
And he called this, let's see, he called it a Native American winter solstice sunrise wall. So apparently this pile of stones has been there for a long time. And has been used, I don't know how long, centuries, sounds like.
Well, I think that's pretty cool because it connects us in 2024 with somebody in 1024 or earlier than that even.
Whenever this was built.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I don't know if he's got that on his land or, there've got to be thousands of places like this around the earth. And, Raul Cortez, who works with EarthSky and helps create our daily sun post at earthsky.org, is also a wonderful photographer. He lives in Monterrey, Mexico. And this is the solstice sunset over, let me see the name of this mountain. He told me what it was. It is Horse Saddle Hill. It can be seen from Monterey. So he captured this solstice moment. That's his personal solstice. And uh, I was just going to say I wouldn't be surprised if he caught it again this year, except that he's visiting family in Norway right now, so he won't be there. So he'll have to.
Well, I like his image on the lower left there. It looks like it's I don't know, a volcano erupting, shooting beams of light out. I think that looks really cool.
He gets a lot of interesting images with
Mhm.
this particular mountain. And it doesn't have to be a sunrise or a sunset. So this person is EarthSky community member, Laurel Sherry, and she is plein air painting at Point Buchan Trail, Los Ojos, California. And she said, we call this rock formation Stonehenge. And you can see it in the background there. It's just a natural grouping of stones in the Pacific. And she said it was magical to be there for the winter solstice. So personal solstices, yeah, if any of you have a personal solstice and you would like to submit it to EarthSky's community page, we would love to see it. So John.
Yes.
Let's move on.
Already? Oh,
the New Year's star. It's got company this year.
Yes. I was thinking of calling this whole session, let's get serious about the solstice, but no one would know what I was talking about. So, well, you would, but not everybody else. Okay.
I would go, oh.
Yeah, let's get this guy out of there. This is tonight, as it says, let's say about 8:30, 9:30, something like that.
Yeah.
Your local time. It's there are a lot of things in this to see in the sky this time of year, a lot of bright objects. And no, we're not going to talk about drones flying over New Jersey. No, but we're going to be talking about.
I think this is what people are seeing when they're.
It could be. Now, people are probably laughing at us right now, but really, if you go out and look at some of this stuff, you'll see that some of these stars are really pretty bright. And we have two planets up there, which are very bright. And you have Sirius down there in the lower right-hand corner, which is very bright as well. It's the brightest star in the night sky. But go out and look tonight. So look towards the east and look kind of high in the east, and you'll see the brightest object up there will be Jupiter. That is something really interesting to see as the nights go on. All this, Jupiter moves just a little bit across the sky. Compare that to the lower left there, just rising, is Mars. Mars won't be as bright as Jupiter. In fact, the star Sirius will be a little bit brighter than Mars, but not much at all. But Mars will be rising and it'll be changing its position fairly quickly over the next few weeks. So keep an eye on that. One other thing I want to point out is just above Mars, you'll see two other stars that are fairly bright. That's Castor and Pollux in Gemini. Try to find those two stars and see where Mars lies in respect to them, because as the weeks go on, Mars will kind of scoot underneath those two stars and a little bit over to its right. And you'll be able to see the motion fairly easily doing that.
So this is tonight. And I want to point out that what's written on this chart is 8:30 p.m. local time. So people are always yelling at us and getting mad at us because we don't mention time zones. But the fact of it is, we don't need to mention a time zone because this is your local time. So no matter where you are on Earth, it might be 8:30, it might be 9:30, it might be closer to 9:30 if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, and it's summer right now down there, so the sun is setting later, but it's around, mid-evening. You're going to see something like this. You're certainly going to see these three objects in relationship to each other. If you're in the Southern Hemisphere, they might be oriented differently with respect to your horizon, but there's still going to be these three objects near each other in the sky. The brightest star in the sky is Sirius, the very bright planet Jupiter, and the bright red planet Mars, which is nearly now as close to us as it's going to get for this 2-year period. So that closest point for Mars is going to come in mid-January, and we'll be live streaming on that. And we've got one live stream up that we did in November about it, but we'll be live streaming about it again in early January. I think there's one night, Kelly of EarthSky told me that it's going to be passing near the moon. So we'll try to get it sometime around there where we tell you guys to look for Mars. But Sirius, this very bright star that you can see on this chart, is called the New Year's star. So tell us why that is, John.
Well, it just so happens that where Sirius is placed in the sky, that on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, right at about midnight, no matter where you are at midnight, your local midnight, as Deborah was just saying, local midnight, you go out and look low in the south, and you'll see Sirius almost directly south. So I was just saying, we were saying a minute or two ago that Sirius is the brightest star in the night sky, so you can't miss it. And just to its upper right lies the constellation Orion with its bright stars as well. But Sirius is the brightest. So
Okay, Orion is those just above and to the right of Sirius.
yes,
3 stars in a row.
You'll see those 3 stars of equal brightness, all right in a row, and above them, excuse me, above them and below them, there are 2 other brighter stars. Those are Betelgeuse and Rigel. You can't miss them.
So we're talking about that area between Sirius and Jupiter, the constellation Orion, very noticeable for those 3 stars in a row, and 2 bright stars on either side.
That's a good way of finding it, as you just implied. Just look halfway between Sirius and Jupiter, and there it is, no matter where you are. So.
And it's very cool about Sirius because Mars and Jupiter aren't always up in the south, or it would be in the north if you were in the southern hemisphere. But Mars and Jupiter aren't always there at midnight on New Year's Eve, but they will be this year. But Sirius is always there at midnight, around midnight. Depends on how far east and west you are in your time zone, whether it's going to be midnight or closer to 1 or closer to 11. But around midnight, Sirius is going to be at its highest point in the south, and astronomers call that its midnight culmination.
All right.
I love that phrase.
Yeah, it's culmination, all right.
Yeah, it's midnight culmination. So midnight culmination on New Year's Eve for the brightest star in the sky.
That's any year. So excellent.
There it is. Okay, so that is it for today. I'm Deborah Bird, and I want to say thank you, John Goss, my
thank you
co-host. We're both longtime stargazers, both with EarthSky, and we're here to help you get the most from night sky and astronomy. So we hope you'll come back and join us again for another live stream. Thanks also to our producer, Jeremiah Guajardo. And please join us back here tomorrow on Friday at our regular time, 12:15 p.m. Central Standard Time or 8:15 UTC, when I'll be speaking with heliophysicist C. Alex Young of NASA Goddard Space Flight Center about Parker Solar Probe, which is about to become the closest spacecraft to our sun ever on Christmas Eve, December 24th. One Earth, one sky, EarthSky.